Aly Khan Satchu, he's the CEO of Rich Management. Good morning, Aly Khan.
Good morning, Bonnie.
Aly Khan, let's start with those very worrying numbers, because last week we hit the 3.5 low at 101 and we thought the ceiling had fallen. This morning we're at 102, and obviously guys, there's a lot of talk about demand from importers and whatnot, but where exactly are we heading?
I think we're going to 107, which was the low from 2011, and I think that number is going to...
That should be our next stop.
That's the next stop, and
Right.
it's acting like a magnet, I think, and on the charts it's a target. And I think there's very little we can do, and the response since that second rate hike informs us.
Right.
The signal is in that response.
And everyone, all the analysts I've spoken to, Aly Khan, have said the second rate hike was not necessary, it's not going to do anything. Why are we still waiting?
Well, I think, you know, I think the central banker wants to be seen as being ahead of the curve. He's burnishing his credentials as an inflation buster. But the issue here is external forces, which are just overwhelming any domestic moves.
Right.
You've got a strong dollar across the African continent. You've got the Uganda shilling and Tanzania shilling, where we've appreciated by about 10%.
Yes, I was curious about that. How come the Tanzanian unit we've seen a bit of improvement from Thursday last week?
Yes.
What is this due to?
And in the Uganda shilling, I think the Ugandan central banker came in and intervened. In the Tanzanian shilling, I think we had a relatively easy rollover with the new CCM candidate. You got a bit of a bounce in the shilling there, but you know the shilling has been quite strong when you compare it against other African currencies. But I think, you know, against the dollar, we'll continue to feel buffeted by, you know, global pressures, risk aversion, that kind of thing.
All right, we'll keep looking at those figures if indeed we'll hit at 107. But Aly Khan, another issue that is never ending is the Uchumi situation.
Yes.
And they were just coming out of the woodworks. They got a new CEO or interim, very tough talking board. They got a loan from KCB at a time when the central bank raised the rates. This is particularly troublesome for them.
It is. I mean, they need to borrow some money before, you know, they're going to sell some land in Kasarani, which will raise some cash. But, you know, estimates are that we're looking at a hole of about between 2 to 3 billion shillings. If it's near the end of 2, then 2.2 billion from the land sale will cover that. Otherwise, they might even need more cash. And this comes back to my point that I think, you know, there isn't enough cash on that balance sheet in order to be a proper competitor. They need to find a strategic investor, or they need to sell.
Right, and because there's a lot of willing buyers in this market.
There are a ton of willing buyers, and that's why this share price, I think, you know, it's an interesting play on that takeover move, which I think will come. Right.
Let's talk about China, Aly Khan.
Yes.
All of last week we saw the world coming to an end with all the situation in the global markets, and there was a meltdown in China. There's a slight sense of normalcy we're getting back to.
Well, they threw everything at it.
But let's talk about relationship of that particular phenomenon in that market with the African markets.
Yes.
How big is this impact?
Well, I think it's very big, and I think people are underestimating that potential spillover between China and Sub-Saharan Africa. Take South Africa, for example. Its biggest trading partner is China. And if you have weakness now spreading in China, and at the moment, you know, Xi Jinping is like Atlas trying to hold up that stock market, throwing everything at it. But if we get further weakness, commodity price weakness, prices come lower, it's going to put a lot of pressure on Sub-Saharan Africa. We've been lifted in the commodity slipstream of Chinese demand.
Aly Khan, are we looking for a day where the yuan will be the global reserve globally?
I think it will get there, but it's going to be a very long process. The Chinese look at things through a lens of 1,000 years. So, I mean, they're not bothered right now. They're going to do it when the timing is right for them. But yes, it will be a reserve currency. That's the way.
And Africa will benefit in this?
So yes, I would think so, because at the moment we're trading around the currency and it's quite expensive.
All right. We'll have it, Aly Khan Satchu, CEO Rich Management, looking at the moves in this market.